Let's handle the source code management. Now here in this tab, you can see that you can put the source code you want, the source code versioning system. Okay, so you can see that we have either none or git, and the git here is something installed by default. So if I click on git for now, you can see that there are repositories, the branch, and the repository browser, and if you need additional behaviors. So here you will provide the URL for your repo. So for example, you have this repo, you are using it for your overall code or your code, you can put it here. But don't forget that you need to provide that credentials. But if you don't have any, you can create a new one, and don't worry about the credentials. This is something we will handle it on a separate lecture. Okay, so after you create the repo, and then you will provide the credentials. And actually the credentials here for this repo means that the SSH private key. So you put your SSH public key here on this repo, on your GitHub account, for example, on the settings, and then you will select the SSH private key here, so which means that you can clone the repo on your workspace on this job. Okay, you got me? All right. Or you can add it here, but again, the credentials we will handle it on a separate lecture. Now we have the advance and add another repo. Now adding another repo is just the same. You can not clone only one repo, you can clone whatever repos you want, as you can see 1, 2, 3, or whatever. All right. Okay, now for the advanced options, let's click on it. You can see that we can put the name and the ref spec here. All right, now actually you may ask me why we should use these. Well, it has its own uses. So if you have a pull request, for example, the pull request trigger, so when you open a pull request, you need to trigger something, you need to provide these, depends on the documentation for the pull request builder. Okay, but don't worry, we will handle that in details when the time comes, so don't worry for now, let's leave them as is. Okay, now the branch to build. Now here you can specify the branch, it is master, staging, development, or whatever, testing, and so on. You can add actually more than one branch. You can add branch 1, branch 2, whatever you want. And the repository browser here, if you have a specific browser, so as you can see, the Gitblade, the GitLab, Gogs, Fabricator, and so on. Okay, we can use, for now, leave it as auto. Actually this is the default behavior, and it is better to use it, to leave it as is. Now here, if you have additional behaviors, so as you can see, advanced checkout behavior, advanced clone behaviors, advanced submodules, and you can see here a clean after checkout, custom name, don't trigger build on commit notification, merge before build. As you can see, if you need for your Jenkins to be something has actions on your GitHub account or repos, and this is something, well, I'm not saying it is good or bad, but it depends on what you prefer. Actually, from my side, I don't prefer that at all. Actually, you can see that wipe out repositories and force clone and so on. Actually it has a lot of behaviors. All right, now actually we don't have anything to show here like putting the repo. Just put your repo and select the credential by adding the credential like this. But as you can see, but again, so we can't do that until we learn how to put the credential. So don't worry about the GitHub account here or the repo, GitHub repo. We will handle it when we learn how to create our credentials. Okay, so until then, keep that in your mind, that we can have the source code management, the git, the repos here, put the repo URL, the name, the ref spec, the branch you want, and let's leave these as is unless you want additional behaviors like the one we discussed. All right, so far so good. Now in the next lecture we will handle the build triggers, and actually this is something very useful and it has very use cases and it is widely used. All right, I will see you there.